102.7 WMOM, 829, 29 minutes after 8 o'clock. And in the studio, Matt from Erin, Doan, State Farm Insurance, live with us. Good morning, Matt. How you doing?
Good morning again, Chris. Doing great. How are you?
Absolutely good. Sunshine, a little bit out there. More clouds
It's
than
showing
today.
up. It's showing up.
Are you ready for the cold snap tomorrow, though? High of only 13 degrees.
Yikes.
Burr. Well, over the next few minutes, for those that are listening on the radio, as well as online on your Amazon Alexa, your Google Home at WMOM.FM, we're going to be talking with Matt from Erin, Doan, State Farm Insurance, and talking about, in particular, sidewalk safety. And Matt, the first question that really comes to mind is, from a resident to a business, is there any difference in regards to that safety or making sure that our sidewalks are safe for anybody to pass by?
You know, one of the great phrases I always loved in high school was an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So in the general, it's just, hey, let's take care of our stuff and take care of our people.
All right. Yep. Well, let's dive right into it. And the landlords, small businesses. Let's start there. We're going to get into residential here in a moment or two. But where does it stop? Is it like, for instance, here in front of the station, we have the Department of Public Works. They clean the sidewalk. We have our entrance clear here. We put down the snow melt and so on and so forth. But what is our responsibilities, and then how does it relate to the insurance side of things?
You know, those are great questions there, Chris. And we love our commercial customers, our landlords, our business owners, and helping them to understand where their responsibilities are. Some of that stuff could be in your local laws. It could also be in your lease agreements. And so we always going to say, take a look at what those documents say so you know your legal responsibility. Usually doesn't hurt to go just a little extra to really make sure things are nice and clean. I will confess, I took a look at your lobby and I took a look at your entryway as I was coming in, saying, all right, let's give Chris a grade on his entryway.
Oh, geez.
Let's clean up here. On your entryway, you're getting a solid A- right now, buddy.
Okay. All right. How do I get an A?
One more scoop to do right there near the edge.
Okay.
You're great.
All right, this is good. I'm glad to hear that. So we'll clean that up for sure. But because we don't want anybody to get hurt. Right. I mean, that's important.
And that's our biggest concern too.
Yeah. What happens when that happens? I mean, you've been with Erin, Doan, State Farm Insurance for 8 years and a month, by the way, which is good. Which congratulations on that.
Thank you.
When we're talking about this, slips, falls, so on and so forth. How do we protect ourselves, but still balance? We want to make sure that everybody's safe, but we want to also protect ourselves, right?
So again, prevention is worth far more in advance because if you can prevent accidents and losses and harm from happening, that's so much better because nobody really wants to see someone getting hurt at all in that regard. But then when we look at the insurance side, when we look at how much protection should you have, most basic homeowners policies, renters policies, even commercial policies, they're always going to come with some medical expense coverage in case somebody does get hurt. We can help them out with some of those expenses. And actually, I've personally been the benefactor on one of those one time.
Wow.
Got the scar to prove it.
Wow. You do.
So those things can happen.
Yeah.
But we just make sure that you have enough there because health insurance changes, deductibles change. It's just good to double check. We actually now recommend, in general, a minimum of $5,000 of medical expense coverage on all those policies. $10,000 is actually quite common as well now.
Okay. All right. It's good to know this. If it's not in a lease, home lease, renter's, a business lease, what are those steps? I mean, you said 5,000, but do you see that? Let's take renters as an example. Do they go to their landlord? Do you say to your landlord, hey, we need to have this part on the policy, or is that the renter's responsibility? What happens there?
In terms of who's responsible for clearing the snow, it's always going to be best to double check with what does your lease say? What does the agreement say with your condo association, for example? Those are great ones to look at as well. And make sure you are doing your responsibility so that if an injury or an accident does occur, it's going to fall on the correct shoulders and the correct insurance policy then as well.
Okay, good information to know there. Is there any myths at all that or misconceptions out there that we tend to think about when it comes to that safety, or even what we have on our insurance or what we don't have on our insurance? Anything that comes to mind for you?
This is an area where we don't actually see a ton of myths because really it's slips and falls. And I think the majority of us have some experience there with some kind of a slip or fall, hopefully not too many and not too serious. But we know that those things can occur. This is actually one of those areas that's relatively cut and dry in many cases.
And speaking of that, let's go into, if we're in a residential area, and you have you have your sidewalk in front of your house,
Your front steps, your
is that your responsibility? Because that's always a question that comes up. Is that section my responsibility?
Homeowners especially, you want to make sure that you're taking care of the area in front of your entryways, your front steps, for example, your driveway, the things that belong to you. When you get up to the sidewalk, you want to look at what your local municipality says is the rule.
Okay.
Some areas, you don't have any requirements. In other areas, you need to do the entire stretch in front of your property line and make sure that that is passable and clear for pedestrians.
Okay.
And not just pedestrians, but also your guests, your family, visitors that come to your house. In fact, I'm going to do a quick shout out here, Chris. I'm going to go wide.
Yeah.
I'm going to call out my lovely wife, who actually delivers on behalf of Mason County Senior Meals. She's going to see several dozen people every single day. Which she definitely got a new pair of yak tracks for Christmas to
Oh
make
my
sure
gosh.
she's safe out there. And by the way, happy anniversary, honey.
There you go. Happy anniversary,
Thanks.
you guys. That's pretty awesome. And she is, going through these snowbanks, I would assume, at some of these homes.
Along with a number of her coworkers too, who are doing the same thing.
So we've got to take that moment and shovel and get things cleared up. You got your postal workers that are out there and such.
Yeah,
Okay.
UPS, FedEx.
How does, and maybe this is a gray area, but what happens when we're a good neighbor and we shovel somebody else's sidewalk and porch and driveway and stuff like that, but somebody might get hurt over there next door? What's the responsibility there?
Yeah, and they have some of those concerns about like, hey, I want to be a good neighbor, I want to be helpful, but I don't want to overstep. So what I encourage there is, talk to your neighbors. Make sure this is a grateful thing that they would be helpful for them to have you do on their behalf. Just talk to them. It's not that hard to just say, hey, I've got an extra 20 minutes. Can I shovel your front walk for you? I want to make sure you're safe. Each residence is their own insurance policies are going to cover what happens there. If you've been acting in good faith, most of the times the law is going to be on your side.
Okay. Go further into that if you don't mind, because if somebody falls, it's not guaranteeing that, hey, they're going to win a suit against you, right? Or is it? I mean, take us through that a little bit.
No, I believe in our judicial system that they have the ability to make reasonable decisions, and good lawyers get involved, and to make sure that the full merits of any case are weighed. I'm not a lawyer myself, but I do believe they can make those good calls most of the time. And insurance is there for a reason, is because sometimes those things don't happen the way that you think they're going to happen. Get good coverage. Make sure you've reviewed that. $100,000 of liability coverage used to be the norm. It's becoming less and less of an appropriate limit. So keep looking at those. Talk to your insurance advisor. You may need more coverage.
And let's talk about that coverage just for a moment. If somebody purchased let's say a renter's insurance policy, does some of these elements or coverages come automatically, or do we have to bring up that? I mean, is it part of the standard package, I guess I would say?
For most insurance carriers, liability and medical expenses are going to be part of any residential policy. So renters, homeowners, condos, even most of our commercial policies, that's going to be a baseline in there, and any good advisor is going to be talking to you about what's there. I do know that there's some customers who think, hey, I don't have much stuff. What do I really need that policy for? Here's another great reason to have that coverage, is to make sure that as your friends, as your guests, family members, even just occasional visitors, as they come by, if something happens that turns out to be your responsibility under the lease, you're protected.
Okay. We're talking with Matt from Erin, Doan State Farm Insurance here on the Mom FM Morning Show. Something you can watch on our YouTube channel as well as our Facebook page, listening on your radio, your smart devices. And Matt, do you see from time to time that people will say, no, I don't need that insurance? And that's probably a bad move.
I will easily confess, I'm a cautious guy. I'm the insurance guy. I think that there's lots of things you need insurance for. You look at my list of policies, it's grown.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
So, but I understand there's the other end of the spectrum as well. People who feel like their risk is very minimal, and it may be. And ultimately, it's always going to be the customer's decision. Their needs are what we're trying to help them protect. I always just encourage, have a good conversation. Be willing to consider the other person's side of the story. They might bring something to light that you hadn't thought of.
Okay. All right. Good information that we're talking about. Let's turn the corner here in regards to making sure that you're healthy when you're outside and you're cleaning off the sidewalks and such, because you not only deal with the insurance policy to cover the home and the renter and the business and such, but from that life insurance standpoint and the health insurance standpoint, we need to be and stay healthy out there.
That life insurance standpoint, you went straight to the heart attack from the
yes,
shovel,
I know,
didn't you?
the extreme of the extreme.
Good. Lord willing, that doesn't happen. But,
yeah.
It's good that you bring that up. Good safety tips for while you're out shoveling. You want to make sure that you're well protected for the weather. Today, it's pretty bitter out there. An extra couple layers might be a good idea. Remember, you can always take a layer off if it's too warm. Good stocking cap or other hat to keep your head warm, especially guys who are like, I'm either a little ball.
Absolutely.
Good gloves, waterproof gear is a good idea. And good shoes, good boots. Don't go out there in your slippers. You're trying to make it less slippery, not more. So you want to have a good footing there as well. Speaking of the health and the life insurance, I do want to make sure to point out, under your homeowner's policies, your renter's policies, condo, those things, those are protecting your assets from someone else taking them if they get hurt. Okay, those are not covering you and your resident relatives or people that live with you.
That's where I was going to go next.
Have the health insurance, you gotta have the supplementals, things like that.
So and I'm glad you clarified that, because that was my next question. Is you get hurt, on your own sidewalk. That's that home insurance. That's not you. You're not going to make a claim against your own home insurance.
Yeah, you can't. Your claimability for the medical expense portion, that's not there for the resident there at all, or their relatives.
Okay.
That's where you want to make sure you do have your health insurance in place. And now I'm not saying no health insurance, don't have to shovel. Sorry, not the case. Still got to clear that sidewalk.
Yeah.
But to make sure that you're well protected, and it's good. Your health insurance covers your expenses. You may want to take a look, if you're especially concerned about any of the things that you do outside, winter or otherwise, at whether you have a proper level of deductible coverage, health savings accounts, or one of our supplemental health policies. We actually just launched one on Monday, a brand new one. It'll quickly pay the majority or all of your health insurance deductible, plus give you some cash.
That's cool. What's that one called that we should be putting on our radar?
It's the supplemental health insurance product there. Actually, I think I might be letting the cat out of the bag here. I think we're doing a little giveaway. If you come and get a quote on that, we have some health-related kinds of things in our office, like first aid kind of stuff. If you want to come and talk to us about it, we're glad to give you a tiny little gift, just a way to say thank you for checking it out.
That's pretty awesome. All right, well, definitely check that out and have that conversation. And that does bring us to the next point is insurance really isn't necessarily, on one hand, it's kind of like set it and let it go, but having that conversation or that checkup with your insurance agent from time to time, that's important this day and age, right?
It definitely is. I actually just spoke with a customer here a couple of weeks ago. It had been close to 2 years. And some things had changed for them, for their family. Not only had they added a couple of more members to their household, some nieces and nephews had moved in with them, become their responsibility, but their overall health insurance had changed as well. And you may remember that coordinates with auto insurance and other needs that they may have. just by having about a 20-minute conversation with me, we were actually able to cut 15% of their expenses, simple form, just by having that good conversation. That's great news for them. Was a little bit of sad part of it is it had been the case for 9 months already.
Wow.
So,
okay. All right, let's make
Give 'em a
sure.
call.
That is a good point. And you've seen in the last 8 years that people have been hurt in the wintertime, and that gets kind of ugly, right? If there is a claim against somebody.
It can. That's one of the things I love about having those coverages in those policies. It's a good way for you to be able to keep that relationship a little bit better because, as we all know, sometimes money can be one of the biggest arguments between people, and it can actually lead to the most heartache sometimes. And so, if we can take that off the table for you to keep that relationship, great example of this. A while back, one of my older relatives, one of her friends, came to see her at her condo. Did have a slip and fall incident, and it almost prevented the friend from ever wanting to come see her again.
Yeah.
But we very quickly paid her medical expenses. They were able to talk, to stay good friends, and so that relationship has been maintained.
Oh, you guys are mediators too.
We try.
Yeah, absolutely. And we appreciate you talking about this segment today because with Groundhog Day, by the way, being today, and Puxatawny has seen his shadow at least 6 more weeks of winter.
Okay. Well.
We are going to see that the snow is going to build up from time to time. Ice is going to build up from time to time. We might want to think about de-icing and clearing things and keeping it effective and clean. And my last question is, we do live here in West Michigan. We have a snowstorm that comes in, and maybe we don't get to that as quickly as we can. There's no necessarily window of time. It is our responsibility when it comes to that. Really, there isn't much excuse, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, right?
It comes with the territory a little bit. You got to expect a little snow here in Michigan.
Absolutely. So get the boots on, keep safe. You can find more information at the State Farm Insurance website. Make sure you check that out on the safety tips. And more importantly, if you have those specific questions about your policy or maybe things that you should add or adjust or even increase, because you'd mentioned just a few minutes ago, sometimes we're like, man, 100,000, that's a pretty good level to be at. Not this day and age, right?
Used to be. Yeah, it used to be. Yeah. But also think, if it occurs to more than one person, somebody's helping grandma walk up the sidewalk and then they go too. And now all of a sudden you're looking at 2 people that have a claim there. You might want to make sure you've got enough coverage there. And it's very easy to do. And it's very affordable in most cases as well. Give your agent a call. If you need to get a hold of us, it's 231-757-3115. We'll gladly have a chat with you.
All right. And located right there on US 10, north side of the road between Ludington and Scottville.
Yeah.
And about a mile, east of Meyer, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. To check it out, it is Erin, Doan, State Farm Insurance. Matt, it is always good to catch up with you.
Thanks, Chris.
And Erin was in the studio just a week ago, I think it was, and he says Matt's going to be in. And he said Matt knows his stuff. He's very good at what he does. And so from your boss, Erin, he thinks very highly of you. And
He's a very gracious and encouraging boss. We're glad to have him.
Absolutely. All right, Matt. Thanks for coming in this morning. And it is 8:47 here on 102.7 Mom FM. Keep it locked right here. We've got more information, more music, and another square to give away coming up on 102.7 Mom FM.
Together. So come join us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter and make it